Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube Astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. A lot of you may have heard of her. She was a U.S. Supreme Court Justice, I believe was her title, but you may want to confirm that and check on that. I think that's what it was, what her actual official title is. But anyway, she has just passed away, sadly, due to there were complications of pancreatic cancer. And I want to say that my prayers and condolences go out to her close friends and family. And she was 87 years old when she passed away. Now, I don't have a time of birth for her. I just had to improvise once again and do a solar/sunrise chart in which I put the sun at the same point as the ascendant. Now, the thing about this is I see a number of things in her chart which could show like a susceptibility or propensity toward issues with the pancreas. She has 3 planets in Virgo. Virgo is associated with the pancreas as well as the zodiac sign Cancer. She has three planets in Virgo, and including Mars in Virgo. It falls in the 6th house of health in her solar/sunrise chart. Mars in Virgo by itself can indicate issues, can manifest in issues, physical debilitations involving the pancreas. And she has Neptune conjunct Mars, and Neptune, of course, can be dissolving, dissipation, energy, and Neptune is also about diseases. Neptune in Virgo by itself in some cases may manifest in some kind of disease with the pancreas, which is what she had. She had pancreatic cancer. Jupiter in Virgo is can enlarge. I mean, Jupiter, the planet itself is associated with the pancreas, and she has it in the zodiac sign Virgo at a critical degree at 17 degrees. Now, another thing is that she has she has Neptune conjunct Jupiter, so that could be the dissolving. I mean, that could be an indication of really weakness connected with something Jupiter related. In this case, it is the pancreas. And the thing is, she has those planets in a series of conjunctions, beginning with Mars and ending with Jupiter. So anyway. Now, and also all those planets are retrograde, so it's an indicator. I mean, you're talking about, things that could be, it's an indicator of regression, I would say, when you're talking about something, when something's retrograde, it can often manifest in not operating the way that it should. And the thing about this is, too, looking at her chart as well. Now, she also has, she was born on March 15th, 1933, Brooklyn, New York. Sun in Pisces, Moon in Scorpio, and the thing about this as well, transit Neptune was not far from her Sun in Pisces at the time of her passing, and Neptune can be about diseases, but when you have transit Neptune near the Sun, it could also be an indicator of dissolving, the dissipation of life, because Neptune is dissolving energy. The Sun is about life, and I don't know if pancreatic cancer can actually be eradicated or not. I have not studied or researched that thoroughly enough, but it's interesting that she has the Sun in Pisces, and Pisces can be about diseases that can't be eradicated. So if that was the case, I could understand why she could be prone to those kind of issues. But then again, I don't know whether I don't know if that is if pancreatic cancer can be beaten or not. If it, in some cases, if it can if you can actually win the battle against it or not and eradicate it. But that is something I'm not sure of. But anyway, Interesting that she also has Pluto in the zodiac sign Cancer. Now, I understand Pluto is generational, but it can, I mean, in some isolated cases, I think way it could pan out is that Pluto in Cancer can be a death through something Cancer related, like zodiac sign Cancer can be associated with the pancreas. Now, another thing, what I'm noticing too, she has the moon in Scorpio in the 8th house, and it's not in the solar sunrise chart, so it's not surprising that her death was something that was public, and this was something I'm sure being in Scorpio she battled really really to the bitter end. And on Astro.com, somebody, if I remember right, had speculated that she has a Scorpio ascendant. It wouldn't surprise me if she did. She lived to 87 years old. She struck me as somebody that was very tough, was a fighter, somebody that was very resilient. She had been diagnosed with colon cancer previously, and the colon can be associated with the zodiac sign Scorpio. And I don't know if she actually beat the colon cancer or not, but she had gotten it some time ago, and it seems like she likely must have been. I'm not 100% sure, because when she passed away, there was a statement that it was attributed to the pancreatic cancer. So presumably, I think the colon cancer did go away, but that is something you have to confer on the internet. But and like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if she had Scorpio rising as well, because she struck me as a very tough woman, a resilient woman. Remember, Scorpio is the zodiac sign associated with the phoenix rising from the ashes. They are about, I mean, Scorpio energy can have an indomitable spirit. That could be playing, I mean, her moon in Scorpio likely had something to do with that, and probably had with the moon in Scorpio, obviously, I would say a means to, as far as controlling the emotions, much better than the typical Sun in Pisces person. Moon in Scorpio can sometimes have chaotic and convoluted emotions, be intensely emotional, but also can give a lot of really a lot of willpower, and again that indomitable will and spirit. And she may not have really been very consciously aware of it, given that it was the moon in Scorpio, unless, of course, she had Scorpio rising, and in that event, she would have been exhibiting a lot of that energy outwardly. Now, another thing I wanted to state was that she also had Jupiter was also in her natal chart opposing her natal sun, so that obviously didn't help matters, because you're talking about when you have Jupiter in Virgo by itself, and again having it a critical degree at 17 degrees in the 6th house of health in her natal in the solar sunrise chart, even by itself in retrograde, can give issues and sometimes complications um, with the pancreas, because as I've stated in previous videos, Jupiter could be rather paradoxical, could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. And it can, and when you have Jupiter, whatever sign it's in, it can enlarge and expand issues, physical debilitations associated with that sign. I have Jupiter in Libra in my chart at a critical degree at 26 degrees, and I have had very strong kidney issues. I had a kidney stone, I think was stated was like 3 times the size of the average one, and Libra can be about the kidneys. Jupiter in Libra can enlarge kidney issues. It's in conjunct my ascendant as well, and it's also in my 6th house of health in my natal chart. So anyway, sorry, went off on Gemini moon tangent there. But another thing I noticed in a transit in her chart as well is that looking at this, she also, interestingly enough, I'm not really sure how this might have manifested in her situation, but she had transit Chiron conjunct, very close conjunction to her natal Mercury in Aries, and I'm wondering if there was something that was going on, maybe with the brain, because Mercury can be associated with the brain. If there was some issues with the mind or the brain or the thinking that was that she had suffering was near the time that she passed away from the pancreatic cancer. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, and another thing, what I'm looking at in her chart as well is that I'm looking at the one of the rulers of the 8th house. Okay, in her solar sunrise chart, she has Scorpio on the cusp of the 8th house, and the thing about that is one of the rulers is Mars, and that falls in the 6th house of health. That could be an indicator of death through debilitating illness, through something chronic. And oddly enough, I have that in my natal chart. I actually have the ruler of my 8th house posited in my 6th house of my chart, and it's Jupiter, what I was just telling you about with my Jupiter placement. Now, the thing about her chart as well, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I could see as far as natal placements or transits that may have played a role in her passing. The only other, some other things. One thing I'm seeing is that, the transit with Chiron in the 1st house in their solar sunrise chart can give manifesting some issues, some physical wounds with the physical body suffering. Being in Aries, there may have been something going on as far as her head. The Aries is connected with the head, the face, and the brain as well. Like I stated before, transit Chiron is also conjunct her natal Mercury in Aries, and the thing is, and there might have been some memory issues that were going on at that time. And also, she has Mercury retrograde natally as well. And again, there's really not a lot of other, much else I could really get at it. The only other thing one thing I wanted to state was that at this time as well, transit North Node was not far. Looking at this, transit North Node was not far from her natal 4th house. It was actually in the 3rd house at the time she passed away. And when you have the North Node involved in a transit, it can be an indicator of going away from something. And the thing about it is, when you're in the 4th house is the end of life. Represents the end of life in astrology, and that is an indicator where, I think I stated before, North Node is going away from something. The North Node is not about going away from something, it's about issues one may have to confront or address. In this case, it's with the in the end of life is how I think this manifested and panned out. And being in Gemini, there might have been some issues that were going on we didn't know about, maybe with like the breathing, the respiratory system. And anyways, really not much more I wanted to get at. There's really not much more to state as far as her chart goes, and anything as far as, I guess you could say, natal placements, transits that might have played some kind of role in her passing. And again, it's terrible that something like this, that she passed away, but she did live to 87 years old. I'm sure if she did have Scorpio rising, she likely fought this very relentlessly. And anyway, it's something that maybe we might not ever know as far as her time of birth. I hope they do somehow get her time of birth and actually have an ability to look at her chart. And only other thing I'm seeing, I want to say one other thing. I noticed that her North Node is in Pisces, like mine as well, and I'm seeing that the South Node was conjunct her Mars, Mars in Virgo. It's actually conjunct her Neptune. It's conjunct her Neptune in Virgo as well. It's very close to her natal Neptune in Virgo, and when the South Node is involved in a conjunction, it could often, I mean, it could work to the detriment of the planet it's contacting with that energy. And you're talking about Neptune and Virgo by itself, the generation, again, could be about a disease. Neptune can be associated with diseases, and Virgo can be associated with the pancreas, and it is in the sixth house in her solar sunrise chart. And the fact that Jupiter follows in this conjunction, Jupiter really enlarged this issue as well and exacerbated this. Interesting, I want to say one other thing, breaking down the stellium she has in her sixth house, starting out with Mars and then Neptune and ending with Jupiter. When you look at a stellium series of conjunctions in astrology, it's broken down in Virgo, no pun intended, of course, dissected one by one. It's broken down very systematically with the first, basically, the series of conjunctions forms what I would call an astrological statement, beginning with the first planet, ending with the final one. The Mars in Virgo by itself can manifest in some physical debilitation connected, that could be Virgo related, in this case the pancreas. Then you have followed by Neptune, which could give added weakness to it and dissolving of the physical energy. Then it ends with Jupiter, and it's on something that was very and really enlarged and exacerbated this matter. And I mean, in the fact that you're talking about all those planets, the Mars, Neptune, Jupiter, all retrograde, and those are indicators of regression. I mean, she had a number of looking at number of planets that were retrograde in her chart, so it tells me that she may have had a lot of delays in whatever it was she was attempting to do with her life in general, but she managed to get through it one way or another. And she was somebody, again, it struck me as somebody had a lot of perseverance, a lot of resiliency, somebody that would fight. She likely fought this to the bitter end, I believe, and more power to her for being able to do so. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.